Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have another very simple fun fold card idea I want to share with you. And this one is very unique because it creates a fun little column or pillar type design. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different card ideas I want to share with you, which feature a very easy pop-up pillar style card design. Now, this particular design, as you can see, pops up, but then it also folds flat for ease in mailing. So it stands up beautifully for display, and it has this little front pop-out panel. So I'm going to show you how to make this card, and you can use any supplies you have on hand to create this particular card design. Now, the cards in this video feature the Textured Notes bundle from Stampin Up. So this particular bundle has a stamp set and a coordinating die set. So I will be using some of the dies to create the little front panel for the card. And of course, I'll be using the stamps to decorate the card. But again, you can use whatever supplies you have on hand. Okay, so this is the card that I'm going to walk you through today. And so as you can see, it has this box style panel, or like a little column on the front of the card. And it's a really fun little pop-out fun fold card. All right, so to create the base of this card, you're going to start with a 5.5 by 8.25 inch piece of cardstock. So basically you're just going to do some scoring on that 8.25 inch side. So we are going to start by scoring at a 1/2 inch. And then we will scoot this over and score at 2 inches. And then score at 2.5. And the last score line is 4 inches. All right, so once you have all the score lines in, you can go ahead and burnish all of those score lines. And so I recommend just kind of folding back and forth. So we're gonna fold them all one direction. And then I'm gonna flip this over and we're gonna fold them the other direction, because we wanna get some flexibility in this cardstock. So we want it to be kind of broken down a little bit. So we're just gonna fold these back, and we'll fold this one. So that's basically what you wanna do, and it creates a little box. So this little 1/2 inch panel is just gonna get folded all the way around, and it's gonna get glued to the bottom part of this card base. So we're gonna glue this panel right in there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add some glue all along this little 1/2 inch section. And basically, I'm gonna bring this up so you can kind of see it. You're basically gonna fold that in and tuck it right up against the score line, and then bring that back piece, this back panel up. So we're gonna tuck it against that score line, and I'm gonna fold it down right away. So the reason I'm folding it down is because then I know it will fold flat for mailing. So if I just try to adhere this up in this position, I won't know if this is gonna fold flat enough for mailing. So I always like to just kind of fold it down and then let the glue set up on that little 1/2 inch section. All right, so once you have the glue set up, then you have your card. So it's basically an A2 size card. So it's 4.25 by 5.5 when closed. So this is your fun little pop-up section. So now we are ready to decorate it. So I'm going to be using some of the Woven Textures Designer Series paper just to decorate my card. But again, you can use whatever paper you want. So I have two little panels here, and each of these are 1.25 inches wide, and they're 5.25 inches long. And so I'm going to adhere these to the columns, to this particular column, the front and the back. So let's add this to the back side of that column or that pillar. All right, so we have the front and the inside decorated. And then I have a 3.5 by 5.25 inch piece of just another piece of pattern paper. So we are going to actually do some stamping on this. So I'm just going to add some scrap paper behind here, and we're just going to use pecan pie. So I'm making everything just that neutral color. And we're going to start by just stamping some of these images. So we're going to start with this little basket weave kind of image. And I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp this kind of in the center. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a thank you right in the center of that little basket. Then I'm just going to do a little stamping off. So we're going to use this leaf image, and we're just going to come off the corner here. I like to stamp off because it just kind of lightens the color a little bit and gives it a really fun look. And then for this particular design, I decided to add just a 1/2 inch by 2.5 inch piece of just a little scrap piece of designer paper, just to kind of dress up the inside. So this I'm going to put right across the bottom of those stamped images. All right, so let's go ahead and add this to the inside of our card. So I recommend if you're doing any stamping on the inside of the card that you do that first before you adhere this piece to the inside. All right, so that's the inside of our card. Now we need to create that front panel. So to create the front panel, I actually used one of the dies from the set. So this piece is about 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And so I just cut that from the pecan pie cardstock. And then I have a piece of the same pattern paper that I used on the inside, I'm using on the outside. So this piece is 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. And so that'll fit really nicely inside this little die cut piece. So I'm going to again do some stamping on this. So let's bring back our scrap paper. And I'm basically going to use the same images. So I'm going to stamp off, and we're going to stamp this little image right off the side here. And then this time I'm going to put a different greeting on the front. So I'm going to stamp that on here right away. We'll put that down on the bottom. And then we'll use that same leaf image and do a little bit of stamping off. We'll stamp off, and then we'll come in this direction. And then I'm going to use this larger leaf image, and this time I'm not going to stamp off. I'm going to stamp this image full strength right in the middle. All right, so that's what our focal point looks like. So let's go ahead and put our card together. So I'm going to add this. We'll put these two pieces together. And then we'll bring back our card. And so for this part, we just want to adhere this panel just to this 1/2 inch wide section, this part of the card. So I'm going to just fold it flat, and I'm going to lay this next to it because then I know how far to put the glue. So just lay that panel right next to it, and you're just going to add glue to this section all the way down. So let's add a little bit more. And then you can pick this up, and we're going to add it right about there. So we'll just give this glue a second to set up, and then I'll show you what the card looks like. All right, and so that is our card. So how cute is that? Super simple. Now the last thing I did with this is I just added a couple of these little textured dots just right to this 1/2 inch wide panel, just one above and one below. And I think that just kind of ties it all together and gives it a really nice touch. So it folds flat either way. So you can fold it flat this way, or you can fold it flat this way. And then of course you can stand it up for display. So it's just a really fun and simple design, and it has that wow factor for the recipient of your card. So I also created this in gray. So this one I did in pecan pie, and this one I did in gray granite, but all the measurements are exactly the same. I just changed out the colors, and then I just changed out the design that I used to create the one in the gray. Okay, so there you go. Now you have a easy pop-up pillar style card idea that you can create with any supplies you have on hand. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.